The woman took off her gloves and, to everyone's surprise, only 3 fingers were revealed. Then she took off her shoes and, astonishingly, there was only 1 toe on each foot. After that, she ripped the wig off her head, transforming into a bald person. She ordered the other women in the audience to do the same while she walked toward the podium, opening her mouth to reveal dozens of teeth. The group of witches finally showed their true faces, gathering in that hall to discuss their plan to eliminate all the children in the world. Because witches intrinsically hated the smell of children, the Grand High Witch had developed a magic potion, dropping the liquid from the bottle into food to trick children into drinking it, and thus transform them all into mice to be devoured. Unexpectedly, there was a boy hidden under the podium, carefully concealing his pet mouse in his arms. Through the cracks in the wooden boards, he saw the witch devouring bugs that she was pulling out of her scalp. The boy was terrified and held his breath, but he could not control his body odor. The witch above sniffed with her nostrils, which instantly enlarged as they followed the scent trail upward. She confirmed that the stench was coming from under the podium, and the furious witch overturned the podium, smashing it to pieces, but found nothing. The boy had already hidden in the nearby ventilation duct. The witch followed the smell, flying toward it. At a critical moment, another boy from outside the door burst in and saved him. By the time the boy entered the room, the witch had already transformed back into a normal person and was still holding chocolate to lure the little one. Unexpectedly, the chubby boy found it insufficient, so the witch had no choice but to turn 1 piece into 6. As a result, after the boy finished eating, he still wanted more. The witch made 6 more pieces of chocolate appear to buy time. 10 seconds later, the potion inside the boy's stomach took effect. Smoke began to pour from the boy's ears. Then, his buttocks caught fire, and he shot up into the sky, leaving only his smoking clothes falling to the ground. When he crawled out of his clothes, he didn't realize that he had transformed into a mouse, and he was trampled by hundreds of high-heeled shoes amid the panic. The boy inside the ventilation duct, watching him escape desperately, suddenly saw his pet mouse run out of the grate, dragging the boy by the tail to safety while the boy inside was still in a state of shock. The witch noticed this and forcefully pulled him out of the ventilation duct. She intended to transform this boy into a mouse as well. The witch pulled out a grape-flavored soda and poured it into the boy's ear. 3 drops later, purple smoke emitted from the boy's head. All of his orifices suffered from hiccups. After convulsing all over his body, he unexpectedly flew into the air. Not only did he shrink in size, but he also grew fur, leaving only his clothes floating to the ground. The boy struggled to get out of his clothes, only to find that he had turned into a tiny mouse. Terrified, the mouse fled in a hurry on all 4 legs, but the witch still caught up to him and grabbed him by the tail. He quickly called out to other mice for help. The white mouse ran over and bit the witch's hand, making her scream in pain and accidentally hit herself. Unexpectedly, the witch pursued them and her hand magically stretched into the duct to catch the mice. The little mouse, seeing that the chubby mouse was falling behind, urgently reminded him to run on all 4s. They narrowly avoided the witch's giant hand, but there was a fan blocking the end of the ventilation duct. The little mouse quickly shouted at the chubby mouse to jump to increase the weight. They all crashed through the iron plate successfully. The giant hand chasing them was instantly swept by the electric fan, forcing the witch to retract her arm, which gave the 3 mice time to escape. Unexpectedly, the final exit led to the kitchen. Discovering they were there was no better than being caught by the witch. At that moment, the little mouse saw another ventilation duct on the other side of the kitchen. He quickly guided the other 2 to climb along the metal framework, successfully reaching the other end of the kitchen duct. He planned to take everyone to the 4th floor of the hotel to look for his grandmother, because his grandmother was an expert in these matters, and only she would believe his words. The little mouse crouched at the elevator entrance, overhearing that a guest coincidentally happened to be going to the 4th floor. He quickly slipped into the elevator with the other 2. The little mouse finally found his grandmother's door. When he knocked frantically on the door, he realized that a mouse's strength was too weak to make his grandmother open it. He could only ring the doorbell, so he guided the other along the wall to the bottom of the doorbell. But the mouse's height was still insufficient. The little mouse quickly called the chubby mouse to stand on his feet. After climbing up, he pulled the lighter white mouse to make it jump. Finally, they barely reached the doorbell. Now the 3 mice could return safely from where they came. Unexpectedly, they were spotted by a cleaner on the way back, and the cleaner let out a scream, chasing them with a broom in a frenzy. Fortunately, the little mouse was smart enough. At that moment, his grandmother opened the door. He guided everyone to run into the room. He waited for the cleaner to leave, then shouted to catch his grandmother's attention by jumping onto her hand. The little mouse told his grandmother that the witch used the potion to turn children into mice. Unexpectedly, the witch lived right below his grandmother, who was unable to bear seeing all the children turn into mice. His grandmother decided to steal the potion with the little mouse and make an antidote. The grandmother asked the little mouse to help her steal something. She placed the little mouse inside a half-knitted sock, then held the end of the sock's yarn and slowly lowered it toward the balcony below. As soon as the sock touched the ground, the little mouse inside ran out. He quickly climbed onto the sofa in the room. After throwing the pillow to the floor, he stepped on the pillow and jumped onto the table. He wanted to steal the magic potion on the table, with the scent drawing him in. He climbed to the edge of the plate where the potion was, used his 2 claws to pull it, and the potion fell to the floor. At that moment, someone entered the room. In a hurry, he hugged the potion and hid under the bed. Unexpectedly, he saw a woman with only 1 toe. The peculiar witch who forced him to drink the potion had turned him directly from a young boy into a little mouse. That was why he came to steal the potion to make an antidote, taking advantage of the witch's carelessness. He quickly ran back to the sock with the potion. His grandmother pulled the sock up, but the little mouse was grabbed by the witch just as he reached halfway. Terrified, the little mouse did not dare to move. Fortunately, the grandmother was clever, knowing that the witch disliked children. She falsely claimed that it was her grandson's sock, successfully getting the witch to let go of it in disgust. The sock was finally pulled up, and the little mouse quickly brought the potion to his grandmother, allowing her to help make the antidote. Unexpectedly, the grandmother added drops of essential oils, one after another, making the potion churn by itself. Thinking they might succeed on the first try, the potion turned directly black, becoming even more toxic. He and the others did not turn back into children, but if they didn't stop the witch from using the potion, all the children in the world would turn into mice. So the little mouse came up with a bold idea. He wanted to pour the potion into the soup that the witch was going to have. He quietly snuck into the kitchen and placed the potion on the soup ladle. As long as he lifted one end of the ladle, the potion would slide down the other end. That was why the little mouse was jumping now, gently kicking the potion into the soup. Next, he only needed to hide in his grandmother's bag. He followed his grandmother to the restaurant to watch the show. Unexpectedly, he caught the right moment. Today, dozens of witches gathered to dine and have soup. Soon, one witch convulsed and shot up into the air, transforming into a mouse and falling to the ground. Then the second and the third. The witches in the restaurant all turned into mice and scurried back and forth. Except for the Grand High Witch. She hadn't had the chance to drink the soup yet, but she couldn't save her companions either. The grandmother feared that the witch would notice and catch her. She quickly escaped from the restaurant. Taking advantage of the opportunity, she ran to the witch's room to eliminate the rest of the potion. Unexpectedly, she was caught by the witch who had just arrived. Seeing her hands elongate infinitely, about to tear her apart, the grandmother quickly called the little mouse for help. The little mouse shouted to his companions to push the mousetrap on the floor hard around the witch's foot. Capitalizing on the witch's pain and loud screams, he held the potion and jumped, successfully getting the witch to swallow the potion. He grabbed her wig as a parachute and landed safely. The witch's karma arrived. She also flew into the air, transforming into a mouse. But the little mouse turned around and saw that the witch was now larger than a basketball, and she was still chasing him to bite him. Fortunately, the grandmother quickly covered her with a vase, and the crisis was finally averted. The grandmother opened the witch's suitcase to destroy the potion, but unexpectedly found the formula for the antidote. The little mouse's kindness was rewarded, and everyone happily took the suitcase away. Before leaving, they did not forget to release the witch's pet to keep her company.